Today, the name Louis Vuitton is everywhere. It lives on the streets of Paris, on runways, in the hands of celebrities, and in the imagination of millions. It represents wealth, status, power. But none of that tells you the truth. Because this brand did not begin in luxury. It began with a boy who walked away from home at 13 years old. No money, no connections, and no clear future. So how does a life like that turn into a global empire? This is the story of Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton was born in 1821 in a small village called untold in eastern France. This wasn't the France you see today. There were no fashion houses, no luxury streets, just land, labor, and survival. His father was a farmer and craftsman, a man who worked because he had no choice. And from a young age, Louis learned the same. Not through lessons, but through necessity. He carried wood, worked long hours, lived a life where nothing came easily. Then came loss. His mother died while he was still young. No warning, no closure, just absence. And with her, the only sense of comfort he had known disappeared. His father remarried. But the home that followed was not a gentle one. Historical accounts describe a stepmother who was strict, cold, and difficult to live with. Not always loud, but heavy. The kind of environment where you feel like you don't belong, even when you're standing in your own home. For a child, that kind of tension doesn't just hurt, it changes you. It makes you question where you are and where you could be. And eventually, it pushes you to leave. At 13 years old, Louis made a decision most people never make. He walked away. No goodbye, no plan, just a quiet decision. To choose uncertainty over staying stuck. Ahead of him was Paris, nearly 500 kilometers away, and he walked. The journey didn't take days, it took years. Over 2 years of walking, working, and surviving. He took on small jobs along the way, anything that could earn him food or a place to sleep. Some nights there was no shelter. Some days there was barely enough to eat. There was no guarantee he would make it, no certainty waiting at the end. And somewhere in that struggle, something changed. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was adapting, learning, enduring. By the time he arrived in Paris, he wasn't the same boy who left home. He was harder, more focused, and ready. Paris was an opportunity, but only if you could prove your value. Louis found work as an apprentice to a box maker. At the time, travel was evolving, but luggage hadn't caught up. Trunks were bulky, rounded at the top, difficult to stack, and most people accepted that as normal. But Louis didn't. He saw inefficiency, and where others saw limitations, he saw the possibility. So in 1854, he introduced something simple. Flat-top trunks, stackable, durable, practical. It changed everything. Wealthy travelers noticed, then Parisian elites, even royalty. And just like that, his work stopped being ordinary. It became desirable, and his name started to matter. After his death, the story didn't end. It evolved. His son, Georges Vuitton, took over the business and made a defining move. He created the LV monogram, not just as design, but as protection against counterfeiting. It became instantly recognizable, timeless, powerful. And over time, Louis Vuitton expanded beyond France into a global symbol of status, eventually becoming part of LVMH, a group that dominates the luxury world today. But here's the real secret. Luxury is not about products. It's about perception. Louis Vuitton controls access, no heavy discounts, limited distribution, carefully curated presence. You don't stumble into it, you want it. At the same time, it stays culturally relevant. Through collaborations, artists, global icons, visible but never common. Because in luxury, scarcity creates desire, and desire creates power. This isn't just a fashion story, it's a lesson in perspective. Louis Vuitton didn't start with advantages. He started with pressure, with discomfort, with uncertainty. But he moved anyway, step by step, decision by decision. And that's the difference. Success doesn't come from perfect conditions. It comes from continuing when nothing is guaranteed. If you want more stories like this, subscribe to Fashion Decoded, because behind every luxury brand, there's a story most people never see.